ufology and paranormal research. We have people who almost seem to become prima donnas and are competing for the spotlight to get the big scoop. But remember, we are dealing not just with researchers and experiencers who have experienced paranormal things, but we are dealing with journalists, award-winning journalists. And like all journalists, they're running for the Pulitzer Peace Prize. They want the big enchilada. Now, you will find that you hear journalists then become the ones who apparently become the judges and decide who's credible and who isn't. Now, I don't know how that has happened. I don't know what's happened here. I don't know how journalism and not science and not trained researchers and, veteran experiencers should be the ones who make that determination of who's credible and who isn't. Not that anybody's made that argument with me, but there seems to be this journalists, well-documented, award-winning journalists are deciding who's credible and who isn't credible. To me is ridiculous. I'm J.P. Moss, author, researcher, experiencer. I welcome you to my channel here on YouTube. And I take issue with that. I think it's because they've won some prizes and they've become, the be-all and end-all of publicity. They have the public relations. They've got the money to put up for it. They can get the subscribers. But understand, a lot of what journalists bring you is second-hand research. Now, field researchers like myself are bringing you first-hand, bona fide, hard evidence research. It's my research. It's what I brought from the field, not from what someone else brought me. These are pictures I took, not someone else took and then gave to me. So journalists, even the most famous journalists in the UFO community, are bringing second-hand stuff. I don't want to jump on some people's names here, but you get these people who say, how do you separate the wheat from the chaff? And there's a lot of crazies out there. Well, who are you to decide who is and who isn't? You get what you get as a journalist when they come to you. A field investigative journalist is someone that goes out of their way to do the work in the field, as I've done. It doesn't count if you interview people who have experienced the unknown. Well, that doesn't count. That's not the kind of evidence I'm talking about. The kind of evidence I'm talking about would be a bag of crystal stones I brought from a forest where, in that same location, there were many entities that were photographed out there that resemble what people have described in their experiences. Mantids and zetas, things of that kind. Soil sample from under tree where initial infrared picture was taken 2015 by the cell phone area, Suffolk, UK, JP Moss. And it's a soil sample from that location. And of course photographs, infrared photographs, things of that nature. Now, some would argue that, the equipment you're using is quite substandard. It's not using filters, or it's apps, and it's a lot of programs and things like that. It's not very advanced. Well, I think if you look at it that way, then you're skeptically saying that the material has to be dismissed because it wasn't using the state-of-the-art professional equipment. But if you look at the other way around, how astonishing is this that I was able to obtain the evidence I have with the equipment I've got. That should speak volumes to you also, that you're receiving and getting images here of entities without high dollar equipment. That should be something that should both inspire and disturb some of you. The fact that it was probably more easily obtained than what you probably would have expected, or I think you have an expectation. Remember, we're not dealing with creatures and wild animals out there in the woodland. We're dealing with the unknown. We're dealing with non-human intelligence, as you heard me. Intelligence is beyond the human race intelligence. And those intelligences are well aware of the basic equipment, or apps, or whatnot, whatever I'm taking out to the field. They know what I'm taking out there. They will be seen when they want to be seen. Okay, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about what's going on here. Yeah, there's so much area that's being jumped over and not researched and looked at and talked about here that needs to be looked at. Besides looking at my photos and saying, well, I can't dismiss these as fake, but I don't know what they are, and that's it. Alright, so we don't really have serious, not everybody that deals with my channel and subscribes to me is interested in what I'm involved with. Yeah, we have those people too. We have people who are here who are from different churches, religious. The authorities are looking to say this guy's crazy. They just want to dismiss it. You get, for whatever reason, the UFO community has become a big clique, a club, and you're only allowed in if you live in a certain area, have certain income. Mostly you find it is a lot of women, because there have been a lot of documented cases of women being abducted by aliens and impregnated. So there tends to be a members-only club. And there tends to be a very stringent, strict few well-known researchers that tend to end up being men. For some reason or another, it ends up being a guy. It doesn't have to be a guy. A woman could be doing what I'm doing. It's no big deal. It tends to be these men who tend to, the women tend to kind of go to the man, and you have all the answers. Bud Hopkins, Dr. David Jacobs, Dr. John Mack, the three well-known alien abduction researchers. You can look them up. Ran into that problem routinely. In interviews, they often said that. They were being, a lot of women would look at them and say, well, you've got the answers, you're the guy. I think scared people don't know, and they want someone they can trust. So they kind of flock to these people as if they've got the answers. Now, I don't really deal in alien abduction phenomena research. I don't hypnotize women. That's not my area. My area is field investigative, anomalous environmental research is what you could call that, AER. Anomalous environmental research is what I've got on my business cards. If I meet people in the field, I hand them a business card. And it does not say ufologist or any kind of affiliation to Center for UFO Studies or Mutual UFO Network. I don't put that on my card. I put responsibly and very. I don't put a lot of detail. I don't say UFO to the people I meet, and that's being responsible. I'm not lying, it's true. It's anomalous environmental research. In other words, I don't know what that is. Anomalous means anomaly, means I don't know what that is. And but it's there, and it's in the environment where it probably ordinarily shouldn't be in the environment. And so research, and it means you obtain it through various equipment, different types of equipment that I use. Some older, some newer. We have here, it's a little bit older, it's a CyberShot, 3.2 megapixel, not often used. I don't often use that one. Memory cards for that are getting harder to find. Recently a camera came my way, which was a little bit newer. It's a Canon, smaller, but was donated. So, but then I can't stress enough the importance of the use of a phone app that deals with infrared photography. Now again, I have no issue interviewing alien abduction people, contactees like that. I don't mind that at all. And I can talk to them. But I think that this is the area that I think gets a bit, with some folks out there, some researchers have been at it a long time, have not met me in person. The gentlemen that are out there, realizing there's a lot of women who are frightened and look for someone, have told me in private messages over the last few years, very candidly and very frankly, I respect your field research, JP Moss, but I've sat in Facebook or seen you on Facebook. I don't, you're a single guy. I don't know. There have been a lot of guys who get in this field and take advantage of women, and vulnerable women. Both, they could be mentally ill or they could be actual contactees of the unknown. And these are people that have men who are more well known than I am, and so there's a lot of like that. They get very, don't you cross that line, don't you talk to these girls, the girls are mine, you stay over there. Well, there's a fine line between field work and men and women who are being taken and being abducted by the unknown. And there's going to be there are boundaries that don't get crossed. And if you go to the field, as I said, I go to the forest, if I find children and minors running around that forest playing, that's a no-go. You don't go in that forest. You don't take pictures. Even if you're not going to get them in the photos, don't go down there. Don't go running down there, taking pictures with somebody's kids playing around those woods. That's common sense. And that's also covered in a lot of UFO training books. Okay, it's the do's and don'ts. And if they want to talk to you or they saw something unusual, first you say, let me talk to your mother and father. That's the first thing you do. Okay, so first we're going to cover the area of minors, get that out of the way. If the forest is surveyed and there's nobody down there, then you can take pictures, The same goes with the famous Rendlesham Forest. You may be researchers running to Roswell or Rendlesham or some of the famous sites. You may be trying to get pictures at Area 51 at the Alien Cafe. There's going to be minors about. And they may be experiencers themselves, but they've seen something unusual. You don't sensationalize and you don't say to them, hey, let me talk to you. Come here. That's a don't. You don't approach them. You don't go down there. You wait to, if they come to you, you say, I'd like to talk to your mom and dad first and see if their experience, or see what they say. Get their permission. Your child's approached me about something they saw down there. And that's it. And see where it goes from there, and introduce yourself. When it comes to women, especially abductee women, there's a lot of buried memories. These videos are made in the assumption that you know what I'm talking about, so I don't want to have to keep explaining this to the laymen or to the skeptics and try to give definition and say, well, the gray old treaty of the 1950s that allegedly took place with the American government and an alien race called the Zetas, where they secretly said, yes, to these aliens you can take women. That's been documented. That's already been talked about in other videos. I don't want to go through that one. And so we're assuming that, all things equal, that the woman you're dealing with may be unknowingly part of the gray old contract. And we'll get into that a little bit in just a second about contracts and treaties. There's a fine line there on the human side and the non-human side. I'm going to use the term alien. I'm not going to sit here and keep saying ETs or get politically correct here. We're going to say alien is not to be offensive, but it means anybody not from the Earth who's involved with the planet Earth. It's only crazy to some of you because you have not interacted with, seen, or had experienced this. So you have to reserve judgment. The evidence is out there, and I have even presented some of my own. The way these beings work is they have contracts. Now, some of them take about 20 years to get to Earth, traveling over great distances through great peril to get here. Because it involves so much resources, they have strict guidelines on who can and cannot contact people on Earth. And they call it being fair, being moral. And they figure that it's only moral and being fair for the ones back on their planet who can't have the contact with everybody on Earth. So they will limit and restrict under a contract of secrecy on who can and can't deal with people on Earth. Now, women who become abductees, who are taken by those kinds of civilizations, are then shoved under the doorstep of the contract. So, okay, they are now exclusive items to the alien race taking them. And anybody having any contact with that, and it's usually a reptilian civilization that is lesser advanced. It's the reptilian races that are lesser advanced. Their DNA forbids them from going faster than light. They have issues with light speed. When a reptilian, saurian being, intelligent being, travels at the speed of light or beyond the speed of light, it destroys their DNA. The human race has genetic code that is specifically engineered in such a way that it can handle faster than light travel. That's because the human race is a hybrid civilization created by the Zetas over 2 million years ago. Now that rubs the religious people the wrong way. I'm just going to put it out there. There it is. They don't present themselves as gods, but they were told to make everybody in their image by an intelligence that doesn't exist in this universe. And I'll stop there on that. I'm not going to go anywhere on that. So the reptilians have these contracts. And they come here to get the precious human DNA cargo, which they can then insert and create another hybrid race of their own that can travel faster than light. So the DNA in the human beings is gold. It's gold. It's worth something. It's very valuable. So how many times are you going to be abducting people on planet Earth at this point? Probably millions and millions of times. You may be injecting some human DNA within yourself. Forget making a new hybrid race, and they get all the fun. You get reptilians that have found a way to take that human DNA from people, wipe their memories, and inject that within themselves, so now they can travel around the galaxy without getting destroyed by the travel itself. They don't have portal technology. They can't travel through interdimensions. They have yet to develop that technology. They don't have it. The problem is that the reptilian races were the first civilizations to make agreements with the American government. And so the American government also believes in secrecy because they want to procure advanced technologies. Well, that reptilian technology is quite advanced to them. It uses fusion, antimatter drive, field propulsion technology. Okay, so they want that, what Bob Lazar was talking about in his videos, element 115. They want to get a hold of that stuff. That stuff they can get their head around, they can figure out. And it doesn't hurt them to go faster than light, so hey, let's get a hold of that stuff. Let's build our own. So there's several reasons for that. So when they began to take reptilian abductee women out of South America and North America and different parts of the world, primarily they seem to focus a lot in South America because the Latino DNA seem to have a lot of the stuff, the stock they were looking for. And so the reptilians go down there and they get these women, but the problem is the contract steps in. So they tell the intelligence services in North America, the reptilians say, you know, we really want you to keep an eye on who these women talk to and who they don't talk to. We can't have them just marrying and dating just anybody. So they're not really allowed boyfriends. They're not really, and the ones they get with are allowed, and they're slid under the door. In other words, they're being brought into the contract. Without these men knowing it, they're in the contract. If you're within the contract, you get the inside scoop. And these women, by the way, there have been a lot of violations, so that they can get away with keeping these women as sex slaves, concubines, and mothers of their children, and DNA stock, and just keep them, or sometimes they become lovers with these reptilians. They end up educating them. They train them on equipment. They train them on spaceships. They give them loads of information about who they are, the galaxy. These women become encyclopedias. But that knowledge comes at a price, because now she will have to continue to be taking it. You know, I don't want to sound crude in this video, but from what I understand, she still has to bend over for somebody up there on their spaceship. She's still got to get naked. But if it's a loving situation and a lover, well, then they're making love. But a lot of times it's that she has that information, she's allowed to share it with certain ones, and then she gets very guarded about who she shares it with. So she can't show her reptilian drawings of the beings that she's interacted with to anybody. It becomes very hush-hush. Pictures that she's taken become hush-hush. That's only under the reptilian government. There are many different governments visiting this planet. Now, a lot of you have looked at my pictures and said, you can't be getting those because that violates the quarantine of this planet. No, the quarantine only exists with the reptilian civilizations. Other civilizations that arrive here more easily through interdimensional portals come to this planet very quickly across the galaxy within seconds, expend almost no energy in doing so, have no such need of contracts of secrecy, therefore cannot be goaded into contracts with the American government and worked into a secrecy with sharing partnership secrecy with the American government. So the mantids that I have in my photos are just such a race. They're more advanced. They're the watchers and observers. They're the ancient ones. They are the progenitors of the Zetas. They're the ones that brought about many civilizations. They consider themselves human beings, or the first human beings. There was a human race here on Earth about 400, 500 million years ago, 600 million years ago. Evidence of that's been found. The mantids go back many billions of years. There was a great calamity in this planet, and it was destroyed. It was uninhabitable. This first Earth Age, humankind went into extinction, and they varied in sizes. Some were giants. At this point, the mantids came back when the Earth was capable of doing it, and okay, let's do human beings again. There were saurian reptilian races on this planet during the age of the dinosaurs as well. So not every reptilian civilization you're dealing with happens to be alien. Now, there's a war between civilizations, reptilian civilizations out there, and the ones that have survived and stayed on Earth. There's a battle going on. Now, the ones that live on Earth are under no such contract of secrecy. They're the ones that typically we call the good ones, and they tend to be the ones that have interdimensional technology, can move through portals, gates, things like that, and they go to other planets to live and come back, but they are Earthlings. They are from the Earth. They are descended of dinosaurs, but they had help from the mantids. They're the ones that tend to get in relationships with women on Earth, become the protectors, guides, and they tend to be very tall, 9 feet tall. But they are from here. Earth is their home. This is Terran to them. This is their country. And they fight to protect loved ones, and South America again becomes a cradle of their civilization, dating back to the age of the dinosaurs. It was back when it was Pangea. So a lot of ancient remains are down there. Just giving you my research, guys. Pretty interesting stuff. So down in South America would be a great place to research. There's ancient civilizations still buried down there and submerged under the Atlantic Ocean, just off the shores of the northern part of South America, Central America. And those remains at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean are not human-made, they are reptilian-made. It's the remnants of their world. Many are calling it Atlantis. Human beings made it. No, they didn't. They say it's a pre-Ice Age civilization. No. From what I understand, I don't have to believe what I was told. I'm just going to repeat it. Those are the remains of a much larger civilization of reptilian beings that were here and traded intergalactically with other civilizations. There was a war. It changed the climate of the Earth. The Ice Age melted. Technology that can move the tectonic plates of the Earth, the continents, rise them up, and even sink them beneath the ocean. Okay, so we're going to cover that. But that was 800,000 years ago, not 12,000 years ago, as people think. So I think a lot of the ruins they're finding out there are going to be nearly 1 million years old, if the research is correct. They're going to be shocked to find those pyramids at the bottom of the ocean are over nearly 1 million years old. And that's not going to make any sense to them. They're already finding remains in the Middle East of carved out rooms that they've dated to about 1 million years. That'd be about right. 1 million years was the last time our good reps walked around on this planet without having to hide themselves. But beyond that, it just depends on who you get in contact with. So the mantids that don't have any issue, here's some pictures. And what else do you want? Well, can you give me that? All right, here you go. You get a king's ransom. It's like Christmas morning with the guys in the woods down there. You can make your whole career running down there taking pictures. But at some point, that's it. It doesn't go any further than that. So, you have to... But women don't know that. A lot of abductees don't know this stuff. And so they have watchers, usually men, who tell them, don't hang out with him, don't hang out with her, don't do that, don't hang out with him. They're under orders from their government, and they usually tend to be intelligence people who are telling them, you want to keep those abductees separate from those because she happens to be, part of a contract. Okay, well that's my video. Thank you for watching. It's been a while since I've blogged any good videos, and I hope this was a good one. Hope you guys enjoyed this. And I've given you a lot of, on the surface, what it looks like, what goes on, and then we go back. You know me, I go way back. straight back to the origins of why it all, and right back to the beginning. You know, that's so you know. Now you know, you're educated to this. Perhaps whoever you are can make the right choices in your life, even if you're an abductee, and not get suspicious or paranoid, or often they get superstitious about who they talk to because they hear it from sources they're not really sure about. A lack of understanding and an ignorance to things can cause people to make bad choices. And I don't think there's any reason why you shouldn't know what we know. And as long as you know it, then you, the abductees out there, the contactees, can get a better understanding of your circumstances and your relationships in life, and make better choices and decisions, and take more control over your life. You know, I don't have 100,000 subscribers, but this information deserves and warrants that kind of viewing. It needs to be put out there. And it needs to be distributed. It needs to be, you know, get the information out. You know, are your loved ones in some kind of contract that they don't know about? And perhaps they're a little superstitious because this man said this to them. Or that, I don't know, because I can't talk to this one, that one. I can't have anyone around me. I gotta. You miss out on things. I find a lot of women tend to end up alone and even die alone. Come on. I've known some experiencers who are reptilian contactee experiencers, and it's the same song and dance. I'm not allowed a boyfriend, and they die. I've known a few in the last 7 years, respectfully, on Facebook, who gave me sad stories about how they were always followed by watchers. They really couldn't have anyone in their life. Relationships were kind of a no-go. Died of heart attacks or car wrecks. Sadly left off the earth dying alone. And that's really unfair. This is really where their contract got the better of you. They got their cake and eat it too. You went off to a lonely grave. I love you all. Take care. Thank you for subscribing. Like and subscribe. Share the video. Share me around. I don't have a lot of time in my life these days to promote what I'm doing, so I would appreciate if some of you could throw JP Moss out there. I don't make any money off YouTube. I have hundreds of videos, but I am not making any money off of this. Okay, this is at your benefit. Often at my expense, because I get a community here in England that kind of goes, this man's insane, he needs to be locked up. And they really live in the 16th century, in spite of the evidence to the contrary to their beliefs. The evidence is there that we are not alone, and I've even obtained that evidence myself. You still get the old let's witch hunt, go get Jason, time to a pole, put kindling under him, and burn him at the stake. Oh no, he can't make joke about that. We've just got to find something on him. No, really, you hear this, they try to rationalize it. No, really. Come on, no, really. I'm like, shut up. Go look at my pictures and shut up.